Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going way back to the book of Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically chapter 39. It's
Uh,
the story of Joseph. And
yeah.
even though it's thousands of years old,
Yeah.
it has some surprisingly relevant lessons
Yeah.
for us navigating, the complexities of modern life.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just like a
Yeah.
historical account. It really digs into those timeless themes
All right.
of integrity and resilience and trust. And, those themes resonate just as strongly today
Yeah.
as they did back then.
Okay, so for those who haven't cracked open Genesis in a while,
Right.
let's set the stage. So we're introduced to Joseph, and he's been sold into slavery
Mm.
by his own brothers. He ends up in Egypt in the household of this
Yeah.
wealthy official named Potiphar.
And despite this incredibly difficult situation, right? I mean, he's been betrayed by his family. He's been ripped from his homeland. He's a slave, but Joseph thrives.
Yeah.
He's hardworking. He's capable. And the text emphasizes that God is with him,
Yeah.
blessing him with success. And Potiphar recognizes these abilities in Joseph
Right.
and puts him in charge of his entire estate.
It's like he goes from zero to hero in a couple verses.
I know, right?
But, and here's where the drama comes in.
Oh.
Potiphar's wife develops this
Yes.
infatuation with Joseph, and she tries to seduce him.
Ooh.
I mean, talk about high stakes, right? Like, how would you react
Right.
if you were suddenly faced with that kind of temptation, especially when you're
in a position
in such a vulnerable position?
Yeah, it's a pivotal moment in the story, right?
Yeah.
Because Joseph is a slave in a foreign land. He could so easily justify giving into her advances. He could rationalize it as self-preservation,
Yeah,
or just blame it on circumstance.
totally. He
Oh.
doesn't. He flat out refuses her,
Yeah.
and he does so on moral and religious grounds.
Yeah. Exactly. And he even says, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? I mean, his commitment to his values, to his faith,
Yeah.
it's unwavering even when it puts him at risk.
Right. And that's what's so remarkable about Joseph's story is that he's not just following rules, right?
Right.
He's operating from this deep-seated set of principles.
Yeah.
He understands that integrity means doing what's right, even when it's really hard,
Yeah.
even when it could cost you everything.
And unfortunately for Joseph, it does cost him.
Oh, yeah.
Potiphar's wife, enraged by his rejection,
Yeah.
falsely accuses him of assault, and he is thrown in prison.
Oh, man.
It's just this brutal reminder that
Yeah.
sometimes doing the right thing doesn't protect you from injustice.
Right. Life can be so unfair.
It can.
And sometimes we face consequences for our integrity.
Absolutely. But even in prison, the text emphasizes that God is with Joseph.
Okay.
He finds favor with the warden and is placed in a position of authority, overseeing other prisoners.
It's like his integrity shines through, even in like the worst possible situation.
I know, it's really amazing.
He doesn't become bitter. He doesn't give up.
Right.
He continues to trust, and he finds a way to persevere.
That resilience is so remarkable.
It really is.
Hmm.
And that ability to bounce back from adversity is so valuable in the world today.
It is, isn't it?
So how can we tap into that?
Yeah.
Like, how can we tap into that inner strength,
Yeah.
that resilience that Joseph embodies
Mm,
to, face our own challenges?
that's a great question, and that's what we're going to explore as we dive deeper into this story
All right, ready?
and uncover the wisdom it holds for us today. I think Joseph's story really gives us a framework for how to think about integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just about avoiding doing bad things.
Yeah.
It's about really actively aligning what we do
Mhm.
with our values.
Yeah.
Even when we have tough choices to make.
Like, let's say
Yeah.
you're in a tough spot at work, lots of pressure, and there's a chance to, cut some corners, maybe make your team look better,
Oh, yeah.
but it's not exactly honest.
Right.
In that moment, you're Joseph facing Potiphar's wife.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah.
What do you do?
Right. It's so easy to say, oh, I would always pick what's ethical.
Yeah.
But when you're in that moment and things are really intense and there could be consequences, it takes real strength
Yeah.
to choose integrity.
Totally. And I think that choosing integrity also builds trust.
Oh, absolutely.
And not just trust from other people, but like trust in ourselves.
Yes.
Oh.
When we act with integrity, it really builds a foundation of self-respect and confidence. We know we can depend on ourselves
Yeah.
to do the right thing, even when it's hard.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting how the story keeps bringing up Joseph's faith as like the source of his strength.
Right.
He keeps saying it's God's the reason he can't
Yeah.
betray Potiphar or give in.
Yeah. That's key. And while not everyone might relate to that in a religious way, I do think there's something bigger there about believing in something larger than yourself.
Right. So it's like having an anchor.
Yes.
That helps you when things get rough.
Exactly. It gives us this sense of purpose
Okay.
and perspective, and it reminds us that, these problems, they're not forever,
Right.
and that there's something bigger to strive for than just, what feels good right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that kind of leads us to self-control.
Oh, yes. Self-control.
The art of saying no to that extra piece of dessert.
Or hitting snooze too many times.
Exactly.
Well, yes, but, on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Self-control is about making our desires and our long-term goals match up.
Okay.
Joseph shows incredible self-control saying no to Potiphar's wife.
Right.
He's basically picking long-term happiness over a quick moment of,
pleasure.
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of self-mastery.
Yeah.
That ability to wait for what you want and make choices that help you reach your goals.
Yes.
Is so important for anything you want to do in life.
Now think about it.
Yeah.
It's like anything big you want to achieve. Starting a company, writing a book, learning a new skill.
Right.
All of that takes tons of discipline and being okay with waiting for the reward.
That's true.
Joseph's story reminds us that self-control isn't about not having things.
Right.
It's about having the power to choose.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
about going after what really matters to you,
Okay.
even when you have to say no to distractions.
And, all of that leads to resilience, doesn't it?
It does.
When we can master ourselves, we can handle anything.
That's exactly it. Resilience is that strength inside of us that lets us bounce back from setbacks, learn from mistakes, and keep going, even when things are tough.
And Joseph is such a good example of that.
I know.
Betrayal, slavery, false accusations.
Yeah.
He goes through it all, but he never gives up.
Never.
He keeps the faith. He keeps working hard.
Yeah.
And he doesn't just survive. He ends up thriving.
And that's the message that is so inspiring to me.
I agree.
It reminds us that even when things are bad,
Yeah,
we get to choose how we react.
we do.
We can give in to negativity
Or we can learn from it and grow. It's powerful to think that even facing all that adversity, he had a choice.
He did. We can choose to act with integrity.
Yeah.
Trust in something bigger than ourselves.
Right.
Practice self-control and build resilience.
And by doing that, we don't just improve our own lives,
Right.
but we inspire those around us.
That's right. Our actions have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
When we live with integrity and resilience,
Yeah.
we help make the world a better place.
It's amazing to think that a story this old can still be so relevant today.
It is. But I think the biggest question is, how do we take these ideas and actually use them in our own lives with our own problems?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the big question, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about all this
Yeah.
integrity and trust, self-control, resilience.
Right.
But how do we actually live it out every day?
I know it can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah, totally.
But I think it helps to remember that we're not aiming for perfection.
Right.
We just need to make good choices one at a time.
So it's like a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And each little choice we make,
Yeah.
Each time we choose integrity, each time we're resilient,
Okay.
those add up over time.
Right.
They help shape who we are.
That makes sense.
And they affect the people around us, too.
So maybe we could start with one area where we want to work on one of these things.
Okay, yeah.
Like, let's say I'm trying to be more resilient at work.
All right, what would that look like for you?
Well, instead of getting bummed out when things go wrong, I could focus on figuring out a solution.
Okay.
I could ask my coworkers for help, or maybe even see it as a chance to learn.
Those are all really good examples.
Thanks.
It's all about shifting your perspective, looking at things in a new way, and focusing on what you can actually control.
And maybe resilience also means accepting that things won't always go smoothly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about never messing up. It's about getting back up afterwards.
Just like Joseph, he faced setbacks left and right,
Yeah.
but he never lost faith or gave up.
It's inspiring to think that
It is.
even when things are really tough, we always have a choice.
Yes.
We can be negative or...
We can find a lesson and grow from it.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Joseph's story,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
If Joseph, with everything he went through, could still thrive because of his principles,
Right.
think about what we can do
I know, it's amazing.
when we choose to live with integrity, trust, self-control, and resilience.
Yeah. That's a really powerful thought. It's like we all have that potential within us.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep